That's right, it's about to get hot in here.
Welcome to PricePlow.
That's right, what's going on, PricePlow Nation and all you Olympus Labs heroes out there? This is Mike Roberto, founder and CEO of PricePlow, your supplement, news, reviews, and interviews, and diet and obesity research front, where we're going to be talking about a lot of the happenings going on in the diet industry. And for you today, I have one of the most fascinating fat burners to talk about. This is going to be a review, and then we're going to get into the ingredients. I'm going to blend them up because there's a lot of stuff that's going on in here, but this is one of the most fascinating fat burning supplements I have ever laid my hands upon, and it's Olympus Labs IGNIT. Now, right off the bat, let me tell you who this is targeted for. First off, 2 capsules has only 150 milligrams of caffeine, so that's a low stimulant based fat burner compared to some of the competition. Also, there are none of the exotic stimulants in that. There's no DMHA, there's no readjurensis or any of that. Now, if you do want that kind of stuff, we have in the past covered Olympus Labs' Blood Shred Black Magic. And this is a fat burning powder that has a lot of that stuff. So one real quick break is that if you see the Black Magic series from Olympus Labs, that's going to be the stuff that's a little bit more on the aggressive side. If you see non-Black Magic out of their stimulant-based products, then you're not going to see the exotic stims. So IGNIT this is a reformulation. We are at the end of 2018 right now, and IGNIT was formerly a fat burner in capsules that did have a couple of the exotic stimulants. It's been reformulated, and now they're going after real deal fat burning via about 3 different mechanisms. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of the premise here. As we get into the research, and we're finding more and more about the obesity crisis and how some people put on fat so easily, it really comes down to 2 things: insulin and cortisol. And this product attacks insulin, hyperinsulinemia, a lot. It has a lot of ingredients that help drive sugar into the cells and get it out of your bloodstream, keep your insulin levels low. And then we also have some of the thermogenic hot ingredients. I'm telling you, this is the most thermogenic supplement I've taken in a long time. It's got some hot ingredients to increase energy expenditure. And that's another thing. So we've recently seen some studies where they show that the people who have trouble with carbohydrates typically need to have a higher energy expenditure. The people who have trouble with carbohydrates, though, are the ones who secrete a lot of insulin. And for those types of people, you either need to do a lot of stuff to help you with the glucose disposal to keep your insulin levels at bay, or stop spiking your insulin by not eating as many carbohydrates or other insulin spiking foods. Trouble is that it's tough to measure insulin. We kind of go by proxy by looking at what spiked our blood sugar levels. But if you can keep blood sugar levels low, keep insulin low, then you're going to do a lot less fat storage. So this supplement helps with that kind of theory in mind, and that's a theory I subscribe to. So right off the bat, I'm a huge fan. Now, because it's 150 milligrams of caffeine, yeah, this is a lower stimulant product. Might not be for everyone, but why I like it, I'd like to get 250 milligrams of caffeine, and at a time, more or less. And so that means I can have a little small cup of black coffee alongside of this. And then I'm feeling good, and then you get some of the benefits of the black coffee too. Now, don't be adding a bunch of sugar to your black coffee. You're going to negate some of the anti-insulinic effects here, but that's the whole idea. So we have a very high energy expenditure, thermogenic product, keeps blood sugar levels and insulin levels at bay, but not too much stimulants, and is hot as hell. That's what IGNIT is here. So I took a little bit of break from YouTube. This should be the first video that comes back. Thanks for your patience with us here. And so we were on travel, and I decided to take a little bit of a break from the exotic stimulants. I brought IGNIT along, and I think this is a great way to wean off from some of the exotic stimulants. Now, I do have to say there are a couple extra bonus stims in here, but none of the DMHA or readjurensis or any of that stuff that we've talked about a lot in the past. I love this stuff because I do like to drink black coffee when I travel or out and about and everything, and I think that's a great thing. And this stuff is hot. Like, I'm already starting to feel it in my belly. And you have to like that thermogenic effect. And the reason is because we have a massive, and we'll get into the ingredients in a little bit, we have a massive dose of grains of paradise, and we also have ginger as well. And these are 2 spicy, obviously they're spicy ingredients, but they also help increase, and the more you use them, the more they're gonna work too. They're gonna increase browning of fat. And the brown fat is the type of fat that is involved in the thermic energy effect of food, and it helps you put off more heat. It helps you actually raise your energy expenditure. And there's a lot of good research, especially behind the grains of paradise. The grains of paradise level here 120 milligrams per 2 capsules. So like, this is literally like 5 times the amount of other products. So if you take the max dose of 4 capsules per day, you're talking about a crap load of grains of paradise, like a quarter of a gram of the stuff, and it's hot. So you gotta like it if you're in the winter and you're like wanting to feel a little bit of the heat. I'm telling you right now, this stuff is second to none when it comes to a hot capsule, and you can smell it. It's just like, woo! In fact, I opened it on the airplane, and my wife was like, "Dude, I smell that." And we were sitting 2 seats apart, had the kid in between us, and she smelled it from 2 seats away. So the ginger and the grains of paradise in here, they're extracted for the pungent stuff, because the pungent stuff is what actually provides the thermogenic effect. So huge fan of this, given that you're cool with 150 milligrams of caffeine per hit. I like it because I could add the coffee. So I still want more caffeine, but I'm happy I can get this, and it doesn't mess up your pre-workout game or any of that. But you gotta like some of the spicy stuff. In fact, if you've never had grains of paradise before, or you've never had like a ginger-based supplement before, I would advise, even though it would be the crazy low caffeine, I'd advise doing just 1 capsule first, because you're gonna feel some heat. The good thing is, like, for whatever reason, the heat hits my belly, and I don't ever get any throat, no esophageal, I never got any like heartburn kind of effect, or reflux kind of effect you'd expect. And that's probably because it's in a capsule. So it gets far enough down, but man, once that capsule breaks open, you can tell. And so I'm a huge fan of this for what it is. And that's thermogenic, low caffeine, but real deal high energy expenditure. So let's get into some of these ingredients, because as we expect with Olympus Labs, we're always going to get something way different here, and it's no different with this product. So let's start with the stuff we're going to feel. Obviously, 2 capsules, 150 milligrams of caffeine. Don't need to go any further about that. But there are some extra stimulants, and that we have both dynamine and teocrine. Love the dynamine teocrine combination. Now what's cool here is that they're using 62.5 milligrams of straight teocrine. This is a level where teocrine is a longer lasting kind of little sister to the caffeine, and it's a patented compound sold by Compound Solutions. Well, teocrine is oftentimes in the powder formulas, it's kind of watered down. They call it tasteless teocrine to the 40% levels. And in order to save money, they even sometimes put that tasteless teocrine in your capsule-based product. You have to check your labels. Olympus Labs isn't doing that. The reason they would do that is because they could say, oh, we have 120 milligrams of the teocrine, 40%. No, none of that. You are getting 62.5% of real deal teocrine here, and that is a great dose. And then on top of that, though, you're getting 25 milligrams of extra methylliberine, which isn't a massive dose, but it's like the faster acting teocrine. So between caffeine, teocrine, and dynamine, you have what is a fairly strong enough stimulant-based supplement, but none of the exotic stuff. So don't be surprised if you see this in some of the retailers out there who don't want to sell like DMHA or any of the other stuff. They will possibly be shelving this. And so that's the stimulant blend. We have a good mix, but a low mix in terms of the 3 ingredients. We've seen a lot crazier stuff from Olympus Labs, and that's the biggest surprise coming from Olympus Labs, because they often have stimulants. But guess what? Like, not everyone wants a ton of the crazy stuff. If you do, go get here, Blood Shred Black Magic for you. So after that, we have the 2 spices, and we already talked about it. We have to increase energy expenditure. We want to increase our thermogenic effect, and what better way to do it than with literal spices, one of which has clinical human doses at less than half of what we're getting here. So I'm talking about grains of paradise. This is my favorite non-stimulant, fat-burning ingredient, and when Olympus Labs does something, they go all in, because you got 120 milligrams, standardized for 12.5%, 6-paridol, and that's the active constituent that gives that pungent effect, and it helps convert some of the white fat into brown fat, which is the fat that contributes to the thermic effect of food, and it produces heat. You waste out a lot of energy through heat, and that's a great way to get rid of heat. A lot of times you're burning fat through your breath a lot of times, but heat is another way to do it. And so this has clinical dose. This is well beyond the clinical dose. And because of that, I love it. I like the feel, and honestly, I seem to like the taste of it a little bit too, and at least in the powder formulas. But here, you're really just feeling it in the belly, or I'm just feeling it in the belly. After that is ginger. Now, ginger has a similar browning of fat type of effect, but it has a couple different constituents. Now, it's related to grains of paradise, but the main constituent is 6-gingerol. And similarly, you have a thermogenic effect that it puts out. I love this combination. I've been kind of waiting for more supplement brands to be doing both of them, because then you got the 6-paratol, 6-gingerol, and both of these are quite thermogenic. And for whatever reason, there was a supplement out there. There was a nighttime supplement. It was stimulant free. It had a lot of ginger in it. And what I noticed is it kind of like, it's an ingredient that seems to like suck me dry a little bit. And I'd wake up after taking it a little bit drier. And I'm not sure if it's really the ginger, because there's no science showing that, but that's kind of the feel I get. And just given that, like, I sweat when I'm taking this stuff, and if you like to sweat when you're working out, this is a great way to do it. Now, what's also cool about ginger, which is going to help us translate into the next set of ingredients, is that it does help lower glucose levels, and it helps drive fatty acid oxidation, like getting some of that glucose out of your system so that your body can start working on its own sugar. So it keeps insulin levels low, which kind of like unlocks your capability of burning your own fat cells. So I think this is a great thing to do during a fast. And because it's a pill, there's no like artificial sweeteners that might make you like crave more sweeteners or anything. And so in the middle of a fast, I am all for this kind of thing. Clear out the glucose and get your body using your own fat for energy. And that's the whole idea here. So those are the two thermogenic ingredients, but we're gonna start talking about this anti-insulinic effect from some of these other ingredients, and the 6-gingerol in the ginger helps with that. Now the next ingredient, and this is actually what's the first one on the label, and it's 225 milligrams of Gynostemma pentaphyllum extract. So leave it to Olympus Labs to bring in something pretty new. This is actually known as southern ginseng, and it was discovered because I think a bunch of Japanese researchers were going to southern China. They're looking for a sweet type of leaf, and it has a little bit of sweetness to it. But it turns out that they realized there was a whole lot of other things going on here, and they started calling it southern ginseng because it behaves a little bit like a ginseng, and that it's an adaptogen. And the reason that's huge is because adaptogens help keep your cortisol levels at bay. Now, outside of insulin levels contributing to like our whole obesity epidemic and fast storage, having high cortisol is a horrible problem, because if you are high in cortisol, you ain't gonna be burning fat. You gotta, chill out. You gotta get calm. But there's also some supplemental ways to keep cortisol at bay, and this is one such supplemental way. So I also want to say that southern ginseng, or Gynostemma pentaphyllum, is also known as Jiaogulan. So you may have seen that. We spell it up here. We have the written part in our blog post too. And there is a blog post where we're talking about all the different studies that I'm going to kind of be referencing here. But in general, this ingredient, though, most importantly, more so than the clearance of any cortisol issues, because that's what a lot of adaptogens do, this also increases glucose uptake. So when you have high amounts of glucose in your bloodstream, you're going to have higher amounts of, in general, you're going to have higher amounts of insulin, and your body is going to want to store the fat and store the glucose as fat rather than burning your own. So it's just good to just drive it into the cells, get it cleared out. If you're like a low carb or keto dieter, get it into the muscle cells, and then start burning out your own fat. This is great to take during a fast. I think it's great to take pre-workout. You're gonna be sweating, no doubt. And then you could also add in some of the more ketogenic type amino acids like leucine, get a nice leucine-rich branched chain amino acid supplement. And then we're talking about something that's really pro-keto too. So I'm not saying you gotta be in keto all the time, but I'm saying like during a fast, I think it's a good time to just like kind of clear out some of that insulin. And that's gonna be the name of the game. Looking forward to 2019 and beyond. Keep insulin levels low. And so Jiaogulan, southern ginseng, Gynostemma pentaphyllum, this is one such way of doing it. So the next ingredient is 200 milligrams of olive leaf extract, standardized for 40% oleuropein. We've talked about this ingredient a little bit in the past. Olives have great benefits to them, the olive oil, but we're talking about olive leaf extract. Oleuropein is really cool because it induces some mechanisms that actually stop your body from proliferating new fat cells. So a little bit less fat storage into new cells, which is always good. We don't need any more fat cells. We don't need our love handles to get any bigger. And so this also helps induce additional thyroid activity, which once again increases energy expenditure. Thyroid is also one of the names of the game. I'm a huge advocate of making sure you're getting enough iodine. Check your multivitamin. I'm very pro the iodized salt. Your thyroid needs that, but there's other ways to get your thyroid moving a little bit. and olive leaf extract, especially the oleuropein, is one such way. So we have energy expenditure coming from the browning of fat from the other two ingredients. We have energy expenditure coming from oleuropein. We have energy expenditure coming from caffeine, possibly a little bit of dynamine and teacrine as well, although I don't know if there's like a ton of research on that. We kind of assume some of those stimulatory compounds provide it. So we're talking about energy expenditure without stimming ourselves out like crazy. The next ingredient is one that comes around once in a while and seems to come and go in the industry a little bit, and it's 100 milligrams of sesamol, which is a phenol that comes from sesame oil. We're getting a lot of good stuff from Asia. If you haven't noticed that Olympus Labs always finds really good stuff out of Asia, I'm kind of just starting to put this together right now. Anyway, sesamol is really cool because the studies show that it helps fight insulin resistance and once again keep insulin levels at bay. When you become insulin resistant, and I think insulin resistance is something we got to make a whole video about because it's kind of like it's kind of an intimidating phrase, but in general, this is when your cells, your fat cells, all your cells, once your muscles are full of glycogen from eating your carbohydrate or whatever, your cells become resistant to wanting to take in any more carbohydrate. They become insulin resistant, and they say no more insulin, no more insulin. So then your pancreas is like, dude, I got to get this sugar out of my system because the sugar in my blood circulation is basically toxic. So it starts pumping out more insulin, more fat storage, more fat storage, more fat storage. And then your body's like, okay, it like gives up. And at some point, if you let this go on long enough, you become a type 2 diabetic. It's like the super long and short of it. Well, first off, the best way of combating insulin is to stop spiking your insulin by eating too much, typically too much carbohydrate. Resistance training can also help. Some of this fasting we talked about can also help. We'll make a separate video on that. But there's also some supplements that help keep your glucose levels a little bit lower and thus keep your insulin levels a little bit lower. And so it seems like sesamol has some of these traits as well. Once again, we're seeing that this is an anti-hyperinsulinemic supplement based upon multiple pathways, and on top of that, we're increasing energy expenditure to boost. So we're shuttling out this sugar, and this is a great thing to do while fasting, whether or not you believe in a keto diet or any of that doesn't matter. Let's keep the blood sugars at a low to normal range, and you're not going to be constantly telling your body to store it. All right, and finally, we have a dose of tangerine extract. What's our dose here? We have 75 milligrams of tangerine extract extracted for 0.2% nominalin. And once again, this is more of the glucose disposal agent-like ingredients that we often talk about in other supplements that you can use with carbohydrates to induce a pump. Or if you use it while fasting, it's just going to help you clear out the glucose. And so there's a pretty cool study. I don't know if there's any human studies on nominalin, but when you take a mouse, and I know we're not mice, so let me just make that clear. We do not digest. We do not do a lot of stuff like mice. We've cured cancer 1,000 times in mice. Anyway, when you give a mice a crazy high-calorie diet with high fat, high calories, and just throw it with like a ton of food, but you also give it nominalin, it turns out it still loses weight. And so that was a pretty cool study. I would love to see some more human doses on it, but it seems like nominalin is one of these GDA, glucose disposal agent / nutrient partitioner style ingredients that when we take it fasted, we're going to also once again lower blood sugar a little bit. So multiple pathways are being used here, and the reason that's a great thing is because genetically we are all a little bit different. Some of us have this enzyme or this enzyme upregulated or downregulated, and we can't, not everyone's going to respond the same to every single one. That's why it's great that Olympus Labs is using all these unique pathways. So the long story short here is that we have a really, really unique supplement that I think is really lining up with my personal beliefs in terms of weight loss. Keeping insulin low, keeping blood sugar at bay, and those two kind of go together, but increasing energy expenditure, working up a sweat, and not too much caffeine because you know what? In the morning, I do like my black coffee, and that's got its own benefits. So you get the chlorogenic acids from all that, and coffee is great for combating metabolic disorder. There's a ton of studies on that. So I like to keep that in the picture, but when we're taking like a 300 milligram caffeine fat burner in the morning, you can't really do that. So that's the whole story with Olympus Labs IGNIT. I'm a huge fan of this supplement, but trust me, you gotta want it hot because if you take 2 capsules twice a day, there's no, I almost would be astonished if you don't at least work up a sweat at some point during the day because of this, or if you don't feel it in your stomach. Take it on an empty stomach. I would be, like I said, astonished if you don't feel it. So very positive review for the right person who shares this type of philosophy. I really think you should try it. And now the more that I'm doing the research or realizing this, when we wrote the blog post, it didn't click. I'm thinking if I take this and then test my blood sugar, I'd like to see if I can like drop it 5 to 10 points. And I know, like, you know, there's variation in your blood sugar levels, but typically, you know, I sit there and don't move a whole lot when I'm doing these 45-minute tests. I'm thinking that something might happen here, and we might need to come back and do that. But anyway, Olympus Labs, as always, keeping it real with some seriously unique supplements. If you need the crazy exotic stims, because I know how a lot of you fans are, yeah, check out the video we did on Blood Shred Black Magic. But overall, this is like, in terms of a non-exotic stimulant fat burner, this is like as legit in terms of actual freaking fat burning as it can get without stimming you out. And so I'm Mike Roberto with PricePlow. I think we got to talk a lot more about the whole blood sugar, insulin resistance thing, because the more I see, the more that is what's connected to our whole obesity crisis. You need to stop eating foods that spike insulin, and if you do, make sure at least like you're eating a lot of fiber, and maybe try to take some of this beforehand. But honestly, I took this over winter break. Eventually, I kind of caved and started eating like crap, and it's not gonna put a ton of lipstick on that pig. If you have a terrible diet, this isn't gonna rescue you. It might help a little bit, but if you're like fasting properly and you're keeping insulin levels low, I think this might speed up the process for sure. In fact, I am very confident it'll speed up the process. And so that's it. Mike Roberto with PricePlow. Sign up for the alerts on PricePlow.com/Olympus-Labs. I think we have a little bit more coming from them, but holy crap, they have done such a great job rebranding, splitting off their product lines to the right people and everything. So check out all of our blog posts on everything they've done, because they've been more than impressive. And if you're looking for something just completely different, nothing else is working for you, check out their products, because they always find something good, a lot of times out of Asia. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to PricePlow.